We all know that MrBeast makes a ton of money, but how much exactly does he make in 2024? Well, I calculated it. In last year's video, I used the supposed average of how much money YouTubers make per 1,000 views, which is $4.50. However, I recently got monetized on YouTube, so I can use my own money-making metrics and change it to find MrBeast's earnings per 1,000 views. So my videos average about $2 per 1,000 views, which is below average because my retention on longer videos could definitely be better. You see, two major things lead to ad money on YouTube: how long the video is and how much of the video viewers watch, also known as retention. So longer videos get more ads that end up making more money, but viewers also have to watch until those ads come in for them to actually make that money. So I'm just going to increase the video length and retention proportionally to find Jimmy's numbers. On my current most viewed video, 12 minutes of Vsauce out of context, I didn't get monetized until the video had 110,000 views, and the last 28,000 views I got from it earned me about $45. That's $1.6 per 1,000 views on a 12-minute video with 32% retention. And about a year ago, MrBeast said that he gets around 70% retention on his videos, but he also said in a tweet that his newer videos with a slower pace had a much higher retention. Much higher is a vague term, but I'll assume that it jumped from 70% to 80 or 85%. I'll go with 80% to not be too generous with my estimates. Also, Jimmy recently took his average video length from being 12 minutes to 18 minutes long. With that information, I estimate that MrBeast makes about 3.75 times more money than I did per 1,000 views, which is almost exactly $6. Now to actually see how much money he really makes, his main channel gained a whopping 1.8 billion views in the last 30 days alone, which means they made about $11 million from only ad revenue on his main channel in just 1 month. But lots of his views on the channel come from his shorts, which pay much less, and since I couldn't find out how many of his views are from shorts, I'll just subtract $1 million. Combining that with the total of his other 4 English channels, we get an extra $1.2 million and another $150,000 from his 12 non-English channels, all of which he abandoned and hasn't uploaded to in over a year. That brings our current total to $11.35 million in ad revenue per month. But that's not all, far from it actually, because he also makes money from sponsorships, merch, and companies, which are gonna make our number way higher. First up are sponsorships. I used a sponsorship calculator that told me that sponsoring just one of his videos would cost $5 to $7 million. But after a bit of looking into it, it seems like Jimmy doesn't charge nearly that much, with one recent source saying that he charges at most $3 million. So I'm gonna assume that it's an average of $2 million, even though he probably should be getting way more. With an average of 2 videos per month, he'll probably be getting another $4 million from sponsors during that time on his main channel. He'll also probably be getting another $400,000 per month from sponsors on his philanthropy channel, and he hasn't gotten any sponsors on MrBeast 2 yet because of his lack of long videos. Also, he's not getting any other sponsorships because he doesn't upload to any other channels anymore. That brings us to $4.4 million for sponsorships and $15.75 million in total so far. Next up is merch. So there don't seem to be any solid numbers on how much merch Jimmy sells, but apparently someone with around 10,000 subscribers will sell an average of 6 pieces of merch per month. And merch on MrBeast.store ranges in price from $7 to $70 per item, with most being around $30 or $40, so we'll go with an average merch sale of $30 since some of his best-selling merch is on the cheaper side. Scaling that up and using a base of 5 per month instead of 6 to be a little more conservative, MrBeast would be selling about 120,000 pieces of merch per month due to his massive following of nearly 250 million subscribers. So he should be making about $3.6 million a month from merch, but assuming his average piece of merch costs about $10 to make, based on averaging how much custom shirts and hoodies cost in bulk, that puts his merch profit at $2.4 million and $18.15 million in total. But we still have his last income generator to go through, his businesses. So a few years ago, Jimmy started his first major company, MrBeast Burger, and he had over 1,000 ghost kitchens across America and part of the rest of the world. However, last year he stated in a tweet that he was not happy with the quality of the food from his restaurant and that he decided to step back from it. The only reason he didn't shut it down was because he accidentally made it so that he didn't have the power to do so. Soon after the tweet, he got into a lawsuit, and according to Wikipedia, it looks like Jimmy's not even getting paid for the sales at MrBeast Burger anymore, but I don't know for sure. For that reason, I won't be getting into its sales and revenue. However, Feastables is a different story. While for most of last year, Feastables sales haven't seemed to be particularly notable despite launching new products, things quickly changed when Jimmy announced to the world that he had reinvented his chocolate to use a much better tasting formula. And on top of that, he said that for an entire month, mid-February to mid-March, one person that bought his chocolate would win $10,000 every day, giving everyone 30 chances to win. This caused a massive amount of people to start buying his new chocolate, making most Walmarts in the US almost always sold out of it. So it would normally be hard to find out how many sales all those Walmarts made during that time, but during that time, Jimmy showed showed the stats of his milk chocolate sales in one Walmart over the course of a few days. Future me here, you can tell by my short hair, but I'm just here to say that while editing this video, I realized that these sales were for the smaller and less sought after 35-gram bars, so to fix my estimation mistake, I'll assume that Jimmy sells twice as many big bars as small ones, basically tripling our Feastables numbers. And I don't want to re-record and re-edit all the parts with my mistakes, so I'll just show the better estimates in text while past me says lower numbers. Once the chocolate bars were where they were supposed to be, he sold an average of about 12 bars per day. And since the stores usually have 3 or 4 of his types of chocolate on display, I'll assume that he sells about 40 chocolate bars per Walmart per day. There are about 4,500 Walmarts in the US, but since there are other stores that sells chocolate in the US as well as Canada, the UK, and Australia, I'll take a lowball estimate and assume that it's equivalent to another 500 or so Walmart sales, putting it at 5,000. Each bar costs about $2.50, so that times the 5,000 stores times the 40 sales per store per day means that for a full month, MrBeast made just about $500,000 from his chocolate per day, or $15 million during that month. Of course, he also has to pay for the production of these bars, so I'll just go with the average price increase assumption, which means that half of the revenue was the cost of production. So that month probably made him about $7.5 million of profit, and now that he isn't giving away $10,000 every day, I'll assume that sales will average out at half of what it was during that month. But he also sells cookies and gummies, which unfortunately I couldn't find any information on how many sales he gets from them. So I'll assume that those sales make about 20% of the profit that his chocolate makes, since there's definitely a lot less craze about them. This puts his Feastables profit at an average of $4.5 million per month, and his total before most of his spending at a whopping $22.65 million per month. Keep in mind that while I'm trying to be as accurate as possible with these estimates, when I'm not sure about the numbers, I go with a lowball estimate, meaning that it's very likely that he actually makes more than this. But let's see how much profit he really makes, since he spends a lot of his money on videos and philanthropy. Luckily, Jimmy mentioned how much money he spends per video only a couple of weeks ago as of the making of this video, which is about $3.5 million for everything, including production and paying his employees. Since he makes about 2 videos per week, that's an insane nearly $8 million he spends per month on just his main channel's videos. It's $7.9 million, but I'll round it to 8 to account for any extra expenses. But there's also his philanthropy channel where he says that he spends all the money he makes there to help people. So that's another $650,000 made from that channel that he spends per month. And I already accounted for the money spent on products, so taking away the other $8.65 million a month he spends on videos, MrBeast makes a grand total profit of just about $14 million a month, or $168 million a year. Only about $20 million per year more than last year's estimates, but since he abandoned some of his channels in MrBeast Burger, that's actually a very impressive amount of growth. And with his fame growing more and more day by day, don't be surprised when he becomes the first billionaire YouTuber, which will probably happen in under 3 years since he seems to be over halfway there already. Thank you for watching, and wait, what? You wanted to know what I was wearing? Well, thank you for asking. I'm wearing my brand new merch. If you want to buy some for yourself, then too bad, because I've only made one so far, but let me know if you would buy my merch and I might make it eventually. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. See ya!